Are going to study about conditional sentences, and to explain the concept of conditional sentence I have used the site this wallstreetenglish.com. I find it quite easy for a new learners to understand the concept of conditional sentences. So to start with, whenever you come across the word if in a sentence, you straight away can identify the sentence is a conditional sentence. This is the first uh, condition, or I will say the first thing you can easily look at the sentence and find out, okay, this is a conditional sentence or a simple sentence. So, and when you use if in a sentence, it makes a sentence conditional where one part begins with F to describe the possible situation and the second part describes the consequence of that. If this thing happens, then what happens? The consequence will be after that only. Let's see with an example. If it rains, we'll get wet. So if here is in the first part of a sentence, it's making the first part sentence conditional. If it rains, then this is a consequence. What will happen? We'll get wet. So, but again, if can take the position in the first part also, if can take the position like this conditional part of a sentence can be in the second half also. Let's see. What will you do if you miss the train? Now, this portion has taken the position over here. What will you do if you miss the train? How can you finish the project if you don't have a computer? What happens if the students don't pass an exam? So if can be in the conditional sentence can be at the end of a sentence also. It is not mandatory that the conditional part is in the beginning of a sentence. This is again a thing that you have to keep in mind. Now, when we go ahead, we have four types of conditional sentences: zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and the third conditional. I'll just talk about the situations where you can use these conditional sentences like zero conditional, first conditional, second, third, and with an example. First is zero conditional. The thing that you have to keep in mind when you talk about the scientific facts and the general habits, you use the zero conditional sentence, and both the portion of the sentence will be in the present, simple present tense. Let's see. If you say if you heat water to 100 degree, it boils. So if you heat water, heat, obviously it's a fact. If you heat the water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. So both the portion, like the both the part of a sentence, the conditional and the consequence, they are in the simple present tense. If you eat a lot, you put on a weight. Both the sentences, both the portion of the sentences are in the simple present tense. So the first thumb rule for the zero conditional sentence is it should have a scientific fact and should describe a general habit. So both the conditional and the consequent sentence are in the simple past tense. Now we move to the first conditional. The first conditional, they talk about the realistic situation in the present or a future. Now this is how the structure formation of the first conditional sentence is. It if simple present tense and then will, can, must plus verb. Let's see. If you're free, we can go for a walk. It's a realistic situation. If you're free, we can go. If they are hungry, I'll make some sandwiches. This is the first conditional sentence. If he studies hard, he'll do well in the exam. So present tense plus will plus verb. Present tense plus can plus verb. Okay. Now we talk about the second conditional sentence. Second conditional sentences are when you have some impossible situation in the present or future. There is no possibility. So the formation is if plus simple past, would, could plus verb. Let's see. Simple past. If I had more time, I would exercise more. This is impossible situation because I don't have a time, so I don't. So this is the simple past, and this is I would act plus verb. If I were rich, I would spend all my time in traveling, but I'm not rich, so I can't. So again, this is your impossible situation where the first portion or the conditional sentence is in the simple past and the consequent sentence is in the would form, would plus verb form or could plus verb form. Now we move to uh, another situation of the second conditional sentences where we use if I were you. If you're giving any advice to someone, It means you are using a second conditional structure over here. Let's see with an example. If someone is saying, if I have got a headache, and now you are supposed to give an advice to that person. So how will you say, if I were you, I would take an aspirin? Like if you put yourself in that particular person's position or situation, you you take an aspirin. I don't understand this. Again, if I were you, I would ask your teacher for help. Now if I were in your position, I would ask for a help. So if I were you in the conditional sentence, the second portion will be in I would. If you're giving an advice to someone, then it will be in the would form, would plus verb form. Now we move to the third conditional sentence. Third conditional sentence is again used in the impossible situations, like in the second, but it describes the regrets. You regret in that. So this is again one clue to identify the third conditional sentence, and the structure is like if plus past perfect. If you're past perfect, you in the second consequent sentence you use would have plus simple past. Let's see, if we had left earlier, this is past perfect, we had left earlier, we would have arrived on time. If they had booked earlier, see the past perfect, you are regretting it. If you booked earlier, they could have found better seats. So when you regret, you use the second conditional sentence with this structure formation. The next is your mixed conditional. Is like where you mix second and third conditional sentences in one sentence, and you make an hypothesis. Like it's a sequence of something which has happened in the, like you talking about the present and you're making a hypothesis of that. So it is again if plus perfect form, would plus verb. You can say it. If you had studied harder, you would be at a higher level now. We would be lying on a beach now if we hadn't missed the plane again. So this is all about the conditional sentence. In the next session, we'll do exercises based on these conditions, like the 4 types of conditional sentences. Then it will help you in making the concepts more clear. Thank you.